Okay then, guys. I'm absolutely delighted tonight. I've not got one guest. I've not got two guests. I've got three guests tonight. Welcome. It's another episode of Manager Lockdown Chat. Football is, and that is what I want. Tonight, I'm joined first and foremost by my co-host for the night, Lewis Millington of the Arancione. He's the lead representative of the Arancione Supporters Club for AFC Portchester. So I'll bring him in first. How you doing, Lewis?
Yeah, not too bad, Dan. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm absolutely brilliant. It's nice to actually have a co-host with me tonight and not me on my own in my bedroom talking to some different people. So thanks for coming in. I've also got the Gaffa, the head honcho, Mr. Mick Catlin. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks
Brilliant.
for having us on, Dan.
No, great. I appreciate you coming on. And I've also got the chairman, Paul Kelly. How you doing, Paul?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
No, thank you for coming on. It's I'm pretty much going to kick it off. I'm going to go for the jugular straight away, and sort of go to Mick with this question. And Mick, it's the question being, how have you found the cancellation of the season?
Frustrating, I think, is the best way to describe it. We were really playing well at the time. We had, I think it was 10 games to go. We were hot on the heels of Alsford, who were top, and it came to a grinding halt. So it was very frustrating for the players, for the staff, and for the club as a whole, really, because we were desperate to try and get promoted this year. So there's nothing we can do about that. We just got to try and do it all over again this season.
And Paul, I'll come to you with this as well. As being the chairman of a great football club, it's well run, as I can see, as Lewis tells me quite a lot. Actually, massive fan of yours. What's it been like for the committee side of the season being cancelled so early?
Yeah, it was frustrating. Obviously, as Mick just said, that the club's going really well. We were confident that we were going to get at least the second spot. Although Crossroads were probably in a better position, I sort of say. Mick, would you not agree? With the games, you still had to play them twice, so you get the points against them, and again you're up there. But from my point of view, we've wanted promotion for the last 3 seasons, and this was probably the closest we were getting. So yeah, disappointed. I think, from my point of view, I think the FA reacted a little bit too soon on the decision for our level, I think. Especially when you think League 1 and 2's only just been decided today.
Yeah, and that's something actually I spoke to Mick about off camera, and me and Lewis talk a lot off camera as well. Is the fact that they did, didn't they? They didn't actually cancel. They finally let us know what's happening with regards to League 1, League 2 now, but non-league, it was just done, dusted, almost forgotten about. We move on. I mean, Lewis, me and you talk quite a lot about Portchy. You're a massive fan of theirs, a massive advocate of them, and I know that you've had a couple of questions more so with regards to form, to signing. So I'll hand over to you, mate, with regards to that.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, delighted to talk to you guys tonight. Really, I mean, this is the first time I've seen Paul a fair few times over the last few months, but just to be able to chat to you and talk a bit about the team and the squad going into next season, whenever that may be, who knows? It's really exciting. So just got a few questions really to ask you. So we've looking at some of the signings we've been making, we've managed to retain the majority of the squad, which is really great to see. I mean, was that quite a challenge, or were the lads quite up for, getting back involved for next season? It does seem like a really tight-knit bunch. Mick, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was really pleasing that everybody wanted to re-sign. And we have had issues. Obviously, financial issues are going to come into place next season, so we did have to reduce the budget slightly. And every player understood the club's fortunes were going to change and wanted to be part of it and wanted to give something back to the club and try and achieve our ambition of getting promoted. So that element of it was relatively easy. There's always one or two that are going to maybe not make the side next season. But that, we've got a strong squad. We always start pre-season with an 18 to 20 man squad, which gets whittled down. and coupled with the new signings as well, I'm really pleased with what we've been able to recruit and what we've been able to keep. And I feel, we'll definitely be stronger than we were last season. So, hopefully we can reach our goal.
I think for me, sorry, Lewis, like something that you've just said there about achieving your goals and having the players that, having a look at the players that you want coming in. Has this lockdown affected essentially the players that you were looking at, or was it something you knew what you wanted to do when, as soon as lockdown happened, the season essentially finished, you knew what you wanted?
Yeah, I knew what I wanted anyway before, when I got to the end of the season. I already had targets for next season. Several factors really came into it. Alsford losing their manager after the announcement that they weren't going to, get promoted, and the chairman then leaving meant that squad sort of disbanded. So some of the targets I had from there were a little easier to obtain because they were free agents. And like I've said to you off camera, a lot of players came to me this season wanting to come to the club, which is, testament to what we're doing and how the club's run and how the club's perceived in our league, really, and leagues above. So, it's pretty much gone how I wanted it to, really, which is very rare that happens.
To be fair, Paul, that's something actually coming back to you with regards to that. Is it almost a lot easier for you to be in touch with the Gaffa and know exactly what he wants before this season, wherever it may come back, starts? You know that you've got a manager there who's got what he needs and is ready to hit the ground running. How does that feel for you?
Yeah, I mean, Mick and myself and Trevor Deacon, one of the other directors, the financial director, we sat down. Seems ages ago now, Mick, doesn't it? Probably 6 weeks, 8 weeks ago, maybe, and discussed what we thought would have been a reasonable offer to the players. Obviously, we needed to hear Mick's side of things on what his thoughts were on that, and I think we all agreed to what we came out with. And then we called a meeting with the players, obviously a social distancing meeting. They were sat in the stands, quite 2 meters apart or so. But yeah, when we put it to them, I think they were all pleased that it wasn't a complete lockdown in the finances side of things. We offered them a decent deal because we wanted to support Mick and keep that squad together, and obviously strengthen it as well, which Mick has done absolutely brilliant in that. Some of the signings he's made. Can't wait to meet the lads and get the season going, really.
One person I definitely know is excited and looking forward to the signings is definitely Lewis. You've been quite vocal on Twitter, be it on your own page and also as again lead representative of the Arancione about the signings and the direction the club's going. So how do you feel about that, Lewis?
Yeah, fantastic. Just while you're saying that, lead representative of the Arancione, it sounds like I'm some sort of mobster or something along the lines. It's a 1930s gangster, but yeah, I like that. So with the transfers, like so exciting seeing some of the the players coming in. Obviously, Alsford top of the league last season. We weren't too far off them, but some of the names I've seen here before, are names that people know of this level. You've got Mike Gosney, Craig Harding, like some top players here. You've obviously got those 5 come in from Alsford. I wonder if you'll be able to tell us and the fans a few more bits of information about some of the players, like what they're like, kind of where they play, what kind of player are they really, Mick?
Well, I'll start with Mike Gosney. He's probably the most well known in the higher levels. I worked with him when I was at Gosport. Very talented left-footed player. Normally gets into double figures in the Wessex League. He was with Andover Town the season before. Alsford, who finished runners-up for Blackfield. And he's just, he's 30-year-old in his prime, really. And it was a safe signing, really, because I knew what I was going to get, what I get from him. So, Craig Harding, younger, scored 22, I think, for Alsford last year in all competitions. again, always, the two games we played against them, he caused us all sorts of problems. Got the winner at our place, scored up there, was a real thorn in our side. So, when I knew he was, was available, he was one I wanted to get. The others really, Joe Chamberlain, another young lad, central midfielder, holding midfielder, very strong on the ball, an area where, we did need to strengthen. Luke Dempsey, probably the best centre-half in the league last season, strong in the air, typical centre-half, good defender. And Liam Hibbard, right back, was captain of Alsford, another solid, steady player. So, they're all players that I knew would, add to what we already had. So, pretty safe signing for me.
It sounds really exciting to hear. Really, I mean, like even just saying some of the players there. Was it Dempsey? You said like one of the best centre halves in the league. I mean, complementing what we already have. On top of that, it's fantastic because we've got someone like Ellis Martin who can contribute maybe 7 or 8 goals a season from set pieces. Strong defender as well. Rob Evans showed his versatility. Say again, sorry.
Sorry, Mike Gosney's deadly from set pieces as well. So another good attribute to have for it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's what sounds like fantastic because there's all these different areas of the pitch now where there's those potential winners, isn't it? Like Rambo on penalties is absolutely unstoppable. You were saying about the various players we've got on set pieces. There's a lot of match winners in there, and seeing people like Parrish really step up at the end of last season, really came into form, got some really important late winners, I think, where we were down a few times in the games. I remember the Bathans one and I think Hamworthy at home as well. It was kind of that, feeling where we were getting into the games and these players were getting important goals. So it'd be really exciting to see some of these players play together next season. I think
the main key to it is competition for places. I think if we had a deficiency last season, it was probably in certain periods of the season when we had injuries or suspensions, we didn't have the backup to bring players in of the same quality. And I think if you're going to win the league, you probably have to have competition in every single position. I'm not saying you're going to have 22 players, but you've certainly got to have players that are versatile, that can play in different positions, which we have got. But you also need players knowing that they've got to play their best every single week or somebody is looking for their shirt. And I don't feel we had that last season. We did at times towards the end, but early on we didn't have that. And that's why I wanted to rectify that this season by signing, quality throughout the squad, really, to make players have to play at their best every week. So
I think sorry, Lewis. I was just saying, essentially, as someone who hasn't been to Portchester, who is very much looking forward to coming down. For me, looking at this from the outside, Paul, it must be so exciting for you as chairman to hear these, hear the players that Mick's talking about. I'm getting excited about them. I've never seen them play. So to have a squad of players that you get excited about so much before the season starts, players that sound like they are well versed in that division, know exactly what they're doing. You've got players that are proven there. How does that feel as a chairman?
Yeah, obviously, I'm excited as anybody, and there's no secrets that 2 or 3 of those players that we've gone for in the past, and credit to Mick, he's actually got them in this time. Before we tried them and we couldn't get them. So I think, again, as Mick said earlier in the interview, and that the squad that we've got now is good enough to go on, and I think that's what's attracting the players that we're getting as well, because people can see we're there or thereabouts last season, and I just think they wanted to come along and hopefully be part of the success for next season as and when that starts.
It sounds, and I know Lewis will definitely come in here. It sounds like a really exciting time to be an AFC Portchester fan, doesn't it?
Hugely. That's really, not just in terms of Portchester, it's where people should be getting down to, watch the Wessex League games locally. Portchester should be obviously their first priority. But 100% it's going to be exciting games. I'm just looking at some of my notes as well. Like, even between Harding and Gosney, you've got 40 goals last season. We shouldn't be forgetting like Dan Wooden as well, 20 goals. Like, and having him re-sign is really important. Parrish, goal scorer. Rambo, goal scorer. So Gosney as well. Like, so you've got all these players who are capable of scoring. If you can get that working, be absolutely such entertaining games we'll have down there.
That's the next challenge.
Yeah, that's something actually.
To get them all in the team.
Yeah, it's a good challenge to have.
But what I would say, with all those goals in us, Mick, we can afford to win 5-4 instead of coming out the wrong side of a high-scoring game.
I'm expecting.
I don't want to be doing that.
I'm expecting Daniel Robbins when I come down to see this. Mick, a question from me. We've spoke about the playing side of it, having such fantastic players at your disposal there to go and really attack this division next season. But how important is the coaching side of it? Have with the lads you've got coaching with you, how important are they to this season coming?
Yeah, very important. I mean, I'm still looking to appoint an assistant manager, and I've got a couple of options at the moment, but it's still early days. But Marty Wallace and Amo, my two coaches, really important in how we run the club. And also we've got an under-23 side this year, which Mark Degan, Sean Howe and Glenn Couchman are running. That's going to be key as well, because we want to start developing our own players. I mean, we've done that this year with Patrick Anath, who's come through the youth setup. And if we can produce one or two of them a season, it proves that the system works and the lads are finding a pathway into the first team. So, yeah, the coaching side of it's very important, and it's all right signing lots of good players, but you've got to gel them into a team. Sometimes individuals don't always win football matches. So, that's the next challenge, is to get them organised and get them into a team structure.
That's fantastic here. I think like Lewis has alluded to, the stats don't lie with the lads you've got there, and again, obviously I'm not asking you to give too much away here, but the season coming, it's obviously you want to be the business end of the season, no doubt about that. But the squad that you're going to be building there, you're going to be keeping an eye on cup competitions, knowing how much financially an impact they have on your season. Regardless, I mean, I don't know if the FA Cup's even going to happen for non-league this season, because I know they're still waiting when they're going to start it. But is it almost important to have that squad to attack all competitions there, Mick?
It is early on, and we always try to have a strong squad to start with, because we have a lot of cup competitions early on, and the squad does get tested, and you can never account for injuries or suspensions. So that's been the thinking behind it. But it is, from our point of view, our priority is always the league. Our next priority is the FA Cup and the FA Vars. Obviously the FA Cup for the financial implications, and the FA Vars because it's a real good chance to get to Wembley, and that's again heightens the profile of the club. So that's what we're aiming for. Hopefully the FA Cup will take place for clubs at our level, but it'd be a shame if that is cut off, because it's a big financial input for us,
And Paul, with regards to that, as the chairman of that, as you've said before, we talked about budgets that you spoke about with Mick. To hear that the FA Cup might not be going on, it's got to be a bit of a worry for you, because as everyone knows in non-league, that FA Cup prize money is massive, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't always rely on the wins from the FA Cup, but it's good to get on a little roll. We did last season. We went down to Warminster, I think, was it, and got a late winner there. Was it? Oh no, that was the FA Vars. Tell a lie. FA Vars. But in the past few seasons we've gone through to the first and second qualifying, and it has brought that bit of extra money in for us. But obviously, if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. It'll probably take the pressure off of too many games early doors, and because you do become You know, the old cliche, victim of your own success. So if we're not in it, we just have to move on, and hopefully next season they'll bring us back into it. But, you know, everywhere in football, the money's going to be cut this season anyway. So it's going to be a struggle, whatever happens, FA Cup money or not. You know, we need people through the turnstiles, and I'm just hoping that they'll look at grassroots football and come to support us, as opposed to these overpaid Premier League stars or Championship teams.
I agree, and actually, this is where I'm going to bring Lewis on this, because Lewis, you know, met you on the podcast a couple of months ago. Very lucky too. You're a great guy, and I see that the work that you do, you know, as, and I'm going to say this without tongue twisting myself, the lead representative of the Arancione. You have a massive part to play with that. The way that you promote the club with the fans. So, what are your hopes for the season coming, mate?
I guess the first and foremost is for the club's fan base to be healthy and the team to be successful. Because ultimately, I think if you've got that, then it's going to draw people in. I think the ambition is promotion, isn't it, as a club? And it'd be great to see that. But ultimately, I think growing that fan base is going to be really exciting this year. And also just building that community spirit. Because what's really nice about Portchester is a community club. It's at the heart of the community. I mean, Paul, you can talk about this even, further. You've obviously been associated with Portchester for a lot longer than I have, to say about how much the club is at the heart of the community and what we do in the local area. But that's something I'm quite excited about for next year, is growing the fan base and getting people involved, even if it's through pub crawls, events at the club. Just getting people down to the Crest Finance will be really exciting. So, in terms of, I guess, a question I could throw at you there, Paul, is what have we been doing at the club, where possible during lockdown to get it ready for the new season? Because that's been a challenge for all clubs. And also, what has the club been doing within the community? Because we've been doing some exciting things with that.
Yeah, obviously, when we went into the lockdown, we sort of looked at each other and thought, Christ, no football for the coming months. What are we going to do? Firstly, we got a voluntary group up together to start doing medical collections from the pharmacists and food drop-offs to the vulnerable. In fact, we're still doing that at the moment. That's going to be going on for the next couple of months at least, because there's still people out there that's going to be struggling. So we will keep that going. But in terms of the actual club side of things, when we went into lockdown, we knew it was the end of the season, so we started tidying the ground up, doing that little bit extra work, and we had the extra weeks in advance to get ahead of the game. The pitch was done 2 weeks ago, so yeah, a lot's been going on. Even though there's not been any football, we've managed to keep going behind the scenes and get the club up and running again.
I think I've seen some of the work. I mean, Lewis took me on a bit of a wander round. I had a virtual tour of Portchester. It was brilliant. And then you did take me to the ground, and that's where I saw Paul for the first time. And the ground today, it looks spot on. It's a really nice ground. I'm really excited to come down there. But something you've just mentioned there, and this is where I find grassroots football is sort of left behind, is people don't realise just how much community work that clubs like yourselves do. You mentioned the bits you're doing for the community. It's spot on, and it must give you a real sense of of happiness to know that you've got the club to go and do that, and also to show the club in such a positive light.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good over this. We did the publicity, but the football hasn't been on, so we've kept it in the club and in the paper. So we've done. We made a lot of new friends, and when the football season does get going again, hopefully they'll bit of support, come down and join us on a Saturday afternoon or evening, whatever the case. So yeah, it is important to be part of the community. Fareham Borough Council are very supportive of us. They have got another football club within Fareham. We think we are the biggest and best around, obviously, and we just want to keep putting our name out there and making sure people are aware of us and what good that we do in the community.
I think Paul's signals was a little bit shaky there, but I think the gist of what we got there is it's first and foremost, you are the number one club down south there. You've got no rivals there, and most importantly, the work you do with the council to show the club in the light that it is. Another question. I'm sorry, Lewis. I'll let you jump back in a second. But something I want to touch on with Mick there, that he spoke about before. Something that I think is so important is you mentioned, Mick, about being able to grow your own players, essentially bring some young lads through there. Almost that organic growth of a football club. How important do you think that is to a football team?
It's very important because obviously we run youth teams from the age of 6, boys and girls, right up to the under 18s where they progress into adult football. And I think for those kids, they need to see a pathway through. They need to see that they're part of something a bit bigger. And they need to aspire to, we want them to come and watch the first team players and look at that and say, hopefully one day I'll be out there playing for the first team. And we've got some good examples. Patrick Hanath last year got from the 18s to the first team within a month or so of pre-season. He went on trials with Portsmouth, Bournemouth and Reading. Unfortunately, that was cut short by the COVID virus, but they'll be keeping an eye on him. He's only turning 18 this September. Before that, we had Andy Rimamoto, who's now a professional at Reading, came through the youth team when Graham Ricks was manager and was recommended to Reading, played for the youth team, got into the first team and now is a regular member of the side. So there are examples that players can look at and we can be quite proud of, giving them the opportunity to become professional footballers. So that's what we want to aim to do.
That's spot on. I mean, for me, that's music to my ears. You talk about the progression of getting these players up and giving them that opportunity to become footballers, not just footballers, but professional footballers. Lewis, I haven't really spoken to you about this. With the lads coming through, it's not something we spoke about. For fans, that must be so exciting to see the lads coming through the youth team and going on to make appearances.
Oh, absolutely. I think if you talk to any football fan, having players that are, one of your own is really important. And I think you'd always rather have somebody come through the farm system or the youth system than bringing people in. So the fact that we have evidence of that in the past of players coming through the Portchester ranks is only further, making it exciting for this season where we've got a restructured under 23s team. I'm actually going to be talking to Mark DeGan on Thursday at the club, 2 meters apart, obviously, and to talk a little bit about what's happening there. And it's going to be really exciting for next season to see if any of those youngsters can come through, because I think it's a club where you can see that progression happening. I mean, there are so many different teams you see playing down on the Wicker Rec at the weekend, and even about the community. I was going for a walk with my wife around Portsmouth the other day, and you could see a few kids. I think I saw 2 kids with a Portchester jacket on. And I'd even seen that before I started supporting them. So visually, it's quite clear the impact that the club is having in the local community from a youth aspect, which is so pleasing to see. So it's going to be, exciting few years going forward, I believe, with the youth side for sure, and promoting that into the first team.
Spot on. I think for me personally, and I'll say this to everyone who's watching, I can't wait to come down and see you guys and see what the season holds for you. Be that when that may. I know we've potentially got some plans. I won't say too much, but we have some plans which could be sooner rather than later. But more than anything, I'm looking forward to coming down and sampling the El Creekio. That's on my calendar. I'm waiting for the fixtures to come out. That's going to be spot on. For me, I really appreciate the fact you guys took the time to come on and speak to me tonight. It's been really insightful for me. For someone who's not really, other than what Lewis tells me about Portchester, it's been nice to hear not only the manager's side but also the chairman's side. And I think Paul, Mick, and Lewis, you can be very proud of the club that you've got down there. The question is, when am I coming on pre-season? Mick, I used to be able to score a few when I was younger. I've got some ability. Just need some fine-tuning, mate. You let me know when you need me, and I'm there. And
B, Paul, when am I going to get through the running?
It's spot on. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, Lewis, is there anything else you want to add before I let you all go?
I think just really thanks so much for having us on, Dan, and also people can find us at Arancione fans on Twitter, and I'll put up a post about how you can become part of the membership of the club, because it's something really exciting we're looking to try and build that atmosphere and become a part of the community really, and have events going on in the local area. So even if you're somebody who goes to Portsmouth home games, if you're not going to away games, come down and sample what we have to offer down at Portchester, because it's going to be an exciting season next season for sure, on the fan side and on the pitch as well.
Spot on. Paul, thank you so much for joining us, mate. I really appreciate that. It's nice to have a chairman actually want to talk to me, to be fair. So I really appreciate that.
No problem at all. Thank you very much for having us on, and I look forward to seeing you when you come down for, whether it's for El Creekio or a pre-season training session with Mick or whatever the case may be. But you'll find me at the bar.
I think that's where you'll find me after 10 minutes of trying, mate. and Mick, I really appreciate you having the conversation. We had a good old chat before we come on live, and it's really nice to have a conversation with a manager that is really got his plans ready, and I'm really excited to see where it goes for you this season, bud.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I appreciate you having us on, and really exciting times. The fan club, the supporters club is going to be massive next season. This all helps promote it, so well done.
Spot on. Right then, guys, thanks as always for joining us. That's another episode of Manager Lockdown done and dusted. Thanks to my guests tonight, Mick, Paul and Lewis. Other than that, as always, take care, stay safe, be thinkers, not stinkers. Sayonara, au revoir.